Okay, awesome. Today is November 8th. My name is Samuel Lee, and I'm here today with Diana Rutenberg, on behalf of the Houston Asian American Archive at Rice University. To begin the interview, could you please briefly introduce yourself with your full name and when and where you were born?
Okay, thank you, Sam, for inviting me over to do this archive. And my name is Diana Libunao-Ruhtenberg. That's my maiden name, Libunao. And I'm from the Manila, Philippines. I was born there, born, raised, and educated in the Philippines before I came to America. So most of the people are born here that were interviewed because I looked at the list of all the people. Some of them I know, and so I listen to what it is, and then I will go back and listen to everything else so that I would learn from their story.
Perfect. Then I guess we can start with your experience in the Philippines. Do you mind describing a little bit about what it was like growing up in the Philippines?
Oh yeah, growing up in the Philippines is wonderful to me. Even if I came from, if I look back, it's like a upper middle income class family with on their standard, okay? But on our standard in US is not. So based on that, I had a happy childhood. I had a good mother who was a great teacher. She was a history mythology teacher. That's why my name is Diana, coming from the goddess of the moon and hunting in mythology. The Greek side is Artemis, and the other side, the Roman, is Diana, the goddess of moon and hunting. So that's how I got my name. So, with my mother as a teacher, she became a teacher at a young age because during World War II, she was a teenager, and a lot of people, don't have the education yet, but they have to teach school because the kids have to be taught in the school. So she was actually in high school when she was called to be a teacher. Can you believe that? And that's how it was. And she loved it. She loved the kids, despite the fact that she hears all the bombing that's occurring. Okay. And then my father was also very good. He wanted to be a lawyer, but because of the war, he had to stop that. And he was called in to, guess what? To become one of the 100 Secret Service agents in the country.
Wow, that's amazing.
And yeah, because he looks Japanese during that time, the Japanese occupation, right? So he learned how to speak Japanese. He's very smart. And he also knows the language and English. So it helped him know three languages. And he became a spy for the Philippine government.
Wow.
That's a story.
Yeah.
So I grew up, okay, I grew up with both parents very different, and actually it's a blended family at that time because a blended family at that time is a no-no. You got to remember the Philippines is a Catholic country.
Right.
So there's no such thing as divorce at that time, and it's a shame to be able to, marry somebody or something that was already married or have children. So the two of them didn't believe that. They liked each other, and so they both have uh, wives and husband. At that time, they have children. So my father had three children, and my mother had one son. And at that time, the one son, it was not politically correct to be able to bear a son, not knowing that she fell in love with somebody that's married during the war. You
Mhm.
know, the times. And she was so distraught when she found out she was pregnant with somebody who was married, and she didn't want to destroy a family.
Mhm.
So she hid, and so this the husband, the supposedly the lover at that time, didn't know that she got pregnant.
Wow.
So fast forward, so the two of them met. So she was a teacher and he was a spy. So my mother never really knew how the spy works. Okay. So I grew up in that environment. And so with the blended family, so we had four and then four more with them together. But in between, my mother got pregnant in between that. So there are more than four. But because the others didn't survive, I survived luckily. So I'm like the number seven from the blended family. So
Wow.
I'm number three from the whole family. Got
Mhm.
it?
I think
So yeah, my mother and father, I'm number three. So I have we call it the real sister is the eldest. The second sister is now in New York. The real sister and the eldest is in the Philippines now. My sister in New York, myself here in Houston, and then my younger brother in the Philippines, still there.
mhm,
Then my mother passed away when I was 9 years old,
mhm.
okay, giving birth, okay. So she didn't take care of herself. It wasn't an in thing at that point. Okay. So she died at age of 42. Her mother died at age 24. Can you believe that? So I was so
Still.
scared at the time that I was 20, I'm gonna be 24. I said, okay, will I have the fate of my grandmother? So when I went past 25, I said, thank you, Lord, that I'm alive. And then when I was 41, I was so scared because my mother died at 42. So I survived 24, now 42. What will happen to me? So it's in the back of my head because, genes and everything else. So I said to myself, well, God is in charge. So you tell me what you want to do. I'm not going to be afraid anymore of anything. Okay. And sure enough, now I'm Medicare eligible. Can you believe that? I'm 65. Yay!
Wow, you don't even look,
Yes.
you look so young.
Well, it's actually God's timing more than anything else.
I see.
Believe me, I'm not my sister is still alive. Is 80 years old. My half sister, my real sister, is gonna be 70. So we're blessed that we're living longer because we're in America. Okay. Fast forward, so that's my life. And all the rest, my attainment and the educational and everything is in there. But I really had a good childhood with my mother and father, despite the fact that I remember clearly that we had in a long table, okay, in a small apartment complex. Remember, I'm a girl and I have boys that could really eat as fast as they can. They will grab whatever is on the. So there was a portion of, let's say, a chicken. We had to divide the chicken accordingly. So by the time it gets to me, there's probably nothing left except the soup and the rice. But I really don't like chicken, so I was so happy with the rice and the soup. And
Wow.
then I learned to eat vegetables. And then my mother said, you got to have something, some protein. I said, what is that? I just like rice and the soup. That's it. And that's why I'm petite. My bones, they call me malnourished. But it's normal for Asian women growing up in a third world country, correct?
Let's see.
So that's what it is. So the conversations were very interesting growing up because my father was very, as a spy, but wouldn't say so. Politically, they're opposing each other. You could say one is a Democrat and the other one is a Republican, something like that. But one rule is don't talk about politics at the dinner table and don't talk about sex and politics. Okay, it's a no-no. So, and within the table, everybody gets a portion accordingly with
Mhm.
one chicken with so many of us. And then, we're just happy knowing what everybody's doing. But we seldom see our father because of his job. My mother was always there. See?
So actually, I have a few questions about that.
Why?
First of all, this is a crazy start to the interview. These are some great stories. Um, I guess firstly, I'm a little curious then. So you said both of your parents were each married before they met each other and had their own children. and
Correct.
then they met during the
The
war,
war, yes.
and they decided to respectively divorce, or
No, the other one actually, my father's wife passed away
I see.
because of the war, right? And then my mother was didn't get married, knowing that she found out she got pregnant, but found out that the
Uh,
the lover was married. So she didn't want to destroy the family, so she walked away from it,
I
but wanted the child because she's Catholic too.
Oh, I understand. So your mother had, so technically you have three siblings, blood siblings, and then you also have, I think, five, four
Four.
other step siblings.
Yeah.
I
And then my mother passed away when I was 9.
hmm
Then my father got married again,
I
okay,
see.
and had two daughters.
I see. I see. So
So we're 10.
I understand your mother passed away when you were really young. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um,
It's part of life.
so then I guess for the rest of your childhood, did you kind of see your father's new spouse as like your own mother? And did she raise you for most of your childhood then?
No, no. Actually, when my mother passed away, I was like the mother to everybody.
Wow, at nine
I
years
was
old.
grown up. I was so grown up because my father will always say, "Why don't you become a boy? You're the son I wanted to have because I want to pass on the things that I know." I
Mhm.
said, "Why? Do you have a complaint that I'm a woman? I could do the same thing as you do. You just tell me what it is." And that was my mentality. And
Wow,
so my father said, "You're just like me." And so my mother will always say, "You're just like your father," because I look like him.
I see, I see. So then
Mhm.
I'm also curious. Your father was essentially a spy. When did you actually find out about his real life as a spy then?
Well, as smart as I am when I was a kid, I figured it out. Okay.
Wow.
Because I see him during those times, you don't have a television set. You're going to be wealthy to have a television set. Well, we were the first one to have a television set. But we're not wealthy because we have a telephone, a red telephone that was given to my father. So I was curious. The red telephone will be because we live in an apartment, so it's on the second floor and nobody could touch it. The red telephone. So I was curious, why do we have a red telephone? And when it rings, you don't want it to ring. When it rings, my mother was like, "Oh my God, looking for your father and he's not here," something like that. Okay. So I put the two and two together basically, but I knew that he was working for the office of the president.
Mm.
So he served at least three presidents in his job.
Wow. Then you were a little
Yeah.
detective, huh?
Yeah, I think I inherited from him.
I see, I see. Okay then. And then I guess maybe kind of moving forward, since we've heard a little bit about your family, I know you mentioned like your family, or I guess the Philippines at the time itself was very Catholic. So were there any specific religious values or even just cultural values or traditions or holidays that you celebrated growing up?
Oh yeah, Christmas, I love it. We're getting close to Christmas. In the Philippines to this day they celebrate Christmas as soon as the month that ends at BER. So that will be after August, September, October, November, December. So Christmas is 4 months.
Oh,
Okay. So they have their tree and everything. That's a cultural thing. You could go to the Philippines right now and you'd be surprised everything has a Christmas decoration. Go to the malls, you go to it's like you're frowned upon if you don't have a Christmas decoration by September. Here, we'll laugh about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So that's that, and I love it because I love Christmas. Okay. So
mhm,
to me, 4 months is why don't we have Christmas every day?
I see. Um, are you still practicing Catholicism?
Actually, the Catholicism is I grew up with, but at an early age, very early age, I was questioning, Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? What's my purpose in life? Okay. That is the question that I asked at a very young age. So I had to investigate accordingly. And I cannot talk about it on the dining table or anybody. It's my personal view. Okay. And it's a big no no if you're able to not just ask a question, but experience things that people can't see. And I do see things that people can't see. So as a young person, we call it a fantasy land. But actually, to me, it's so real at that point because that's when I question, why is it that my friend who I play with is not seeing what I'm seeing and vice versa? And we're the same age. So that's when I learned to be quiet.
Mm. So, um, I know in our conversation earlier you were talking about a maker. Do you ascribe to any specific religion at the moment, or not so much?
Well, actually, because of my religious growing up as a Catholic, that is a great basis for me to be able to study all the different religions. And because I went to the finest university in the Philippines, I had access to the best books and everything else. I spent time in the library much more than most people do. First of all, I cannot afford to buy a book. So I had to be in the library. And the homeworks are all, and the books are all, I can't afford. So I will spend hours in the library during my break to do my homework. It's a necessity. But on the side, I really am looking for myself. So with that, I will do my homework as fast as I can. And you got to remember, at that time, there's no copier. So you have to handwrite everything, right? That's my generation. And so when I look back, I said, thank God I had that discipline because that helped me be staying into the ritual and into what is needed to be practical in life and also not forget about my other side of it. So you what am I practicing now? I'm looking at the religions of all the world. So I will say, most people say they're agnostic. No, I say I respect each religion accordingly. And it's not a religion thing, it's a spiritual feeling that I have that because of that spiritual feeling, I know what I know and I have to learn more of the things from other people.
Okay.
So that's what I believe in.
Wow. I respect that view. I think it's a great one. I I guess you just kind of segued us into our next point, kind of talking about your early schooling. Maybe you could share a little about your educational experiences in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, we have a great educational system, more than here. I'm so surprised when I went to the United States that I know more about poetry, literature, history, geography, with all the things. I said, oh my God, I went to school and we learned all of this way before. And here they don't know anything. They don't even know the capital of America or something like that. We know the different countries because remember, my mother was a history professor,
Mhm.
teacher, and mythology. So I know mythology. So she taught us to be really understanding of the world, which is really something. And then going to school, I went to a girls' private school, not so private that she didn't want to be with the nuns. She didn't want us to be with the nuns. She wanted us to be in a secular environment, not Catholic school, because a lot of them are nuns there. So she said, I want you to experience a man and a woman together, but not public school yet, because there's the very good public school. So even if they cannot afford to send us, just not just me but all my brothers and sisters, to go to this secular place, a non-sectarian place, she made an effort that number one to her is education. She said, the only thing I could give to you is a good education. You could go anywhere with a good education. I cannot give you
Hello?
got disconnected.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
That's fine.
Okay. I think you left off talking about your mother and how the only gift she could give you is education.
Yes, a good education is really her number one thing. The legacy that she could give to us is a good education. And she said that no matter, even if I'm not here, you could create and recreate whatever you want to be. You could be a man or woman, it doesn't matter. You will be whatever you want to be, and you will be successful as long as you have a good education. Okay. And
Uh,
that's my mother. And my father is worse than that. Said, no, you could be number one in anything that you do as long as you focus on it. That's my father. He wants excellence in everything. My mother said, yeah, you could get away with no, no, no. I have to find the happy medium in the two.
mhm. And I understand you said you attended private education then for, I'm assuming, your equivalent of middle school and high school.
Yes. And
Um,
then
yes.
I went to college, which is a public school.
Hmm.
Because at that time, my mother's already passed away. She passed away when I was in grade five.
I see. What was the name of the university
Far Eastern University.
in Philippines?
Yeah, Far Eastern University in the Philippines. And actually, we have a chat of all of my classmates from elementary to high school.
Ah,
And we're going to have our 50th reunion next year, February.
really?
So I'm planning to be there because this is the 50th reunion of my class. And we're chatting every month to make sure they're all over the world. And
Hmm.
it's wonderful because you learn what's happening firsthand from them, from their eyes. Okay, so it's really a wonderful bonding time for each of us, and we say, "Oh my God, you look like this. How come you look like this?" So no, when you age, it's always like that. So and so it's amazing. We just compare what our lives are. We think the person that will be valedictorian will be the successful now. It's the other way around because life is so different, right? And
Yeah.
people change along the way. You know,
Hmm.
you learn from your past and you hope you're going to be better in the future.
Hmm.
And that's what it is. So it's good to compare at that age, oh my God, it's amazing. So, but we're in touch, which is so good. That's why it's so important to have interpersonal relationships. Okay. Even if we don't have even if our lives take a different turn, the important thing is your basic values.
Yay. Um, Thank you for that. And I guess, well, first of all, I just thought about this while you're sharing about how your classmates are split up across the world. I noticed on your form you mentioned you speak multiple languages yourself. Did you learn this in high school? Was this like a requirement for you guys, or did you learn this as you kind of went to college? Or
Well, in school at that time, you have to learn a certain Spanish. It's part of your curriculum
Mhm.
at that time. Now it's not required anymore. So it helped me to learn Spanish. So I could read Spanish, but because I don't use it that often, it's so hard to speak it. But I could understand. So if speaking, especially in Texas, I they don't realize I know what they're talking about, but I cannot speak it. And I would answer in English, but I know what it is. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's amazing. Or sometimes I know some words,
Mhm.
but thank God I learned that in school, even if I hated it at that time. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to do that. And then, of course, English I learned was so funny because at home we only spoke our language, Tagalog, Filipino. And there are 72 different dialects in the Philippines alone. So you cannot understand. You probably go 20 miles and you don't understand each other. The only way you understand is either speak Filipino or English is the national language that they know. Okay, so we could speak English, but at that time when I was younger, how do you learn English? So how did I learn English? Believe it or not, I have friends that are Chinese. Okay, so they don't speak anything, but we communicate very well. We're good friends. They're our neighbors. But my mother said, "Oh, you don't want to be friends with them." I said, "Why?" Because they're not Catholics and they're Chinese. I said, "Who said so?" They're good friends of mine. So they're not allowed to go out because they're Chinese and they don't speak Tagalog. But anyhow, we will play with a screen in between us, their door screen, and we will. I'll put my, my toys in front of the screen, and they will do, and then we will play like kids do. There's no barrier. So, these adults are just telling you that you shouldn't, but heck, it's a heart to heart. But anyhow, I learned English because I wanted to communicate. They know a little bit of English, but they didn't teach me English. It was actually turning on the TV and listening to English programs. That's how I learned all the English things.
Yeah.
And then my father spoke very good English. And we were like 3 blocks from the theater, a hometown theater. And because he was a secret agent, he's free to go in anytime. He just shows his badge. Okay. So when he shows his badge, I could go in because I'm a little girl tagging along. So we would watch. I've seen Tora, Tora, Tora. I don't know if you know that movie. You got to watch it. Tora, Tora, Tora. Okay. You go into Netflix or whatever, or Amazon Prime, and you will see that Tora, Tora, Tora is a story of how the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor. Okay, at that time, the history. So everything was English, English subtitle. So I've watched that movie to learn English.
Mhm. I mean, my parents, when they first immigrated, they watched a show called Friends, if you've heard of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, friends. Matthew Perry just passed away, remember?
Yeah. So
In the
my mom,
80s.
my mom would always tell me like that's how she learned English when she first came to the United States. She would sit at home and watch TV all day.
Exactly. And the same way with me. I was in the Philippines, but I'm supposed to learn English because in school, listen to this. In school, in a private school, you're supposed to speak English. And you're not supposed to speak Tagalog, our native language. And they have like a play, like whatever it is, an empty tray or something. If you spoke one word of Tagalog, it will cost you 5 cents, 5 centavos. So one thing I learned is so that I won't lose my allowance, I won't say anything. That's it. But
Crazy.
so I'm so quiet at the school, but when I get home, yeah, that's how it goes. Because the pent up of how many hours you're in school, you cannot speak unless you learn English. So that's how I'm forced to learn English.
I see. Um, and going back to school, I wanted to ask, what were your favorite subjects in high school, and did this translate to what you studied in college?
Oh yeah, my favorite was math. And everybody hates math, but I said, it's so easy, it comes naturally for me. So I ended up tutoring at a young age, tutoring my whole class on math. I said, why is it so difficult? It's so easy. So what I did, which was, I want to make sure that my whole class will pass. That's this one. I said, I feel so bad for all of you. Why don't we conduct? I could conduct the class so that you will pass the math thing. And so I asked them to come to my small apartment with all my classmates. And my father said, what the heck are you doing? I want them to take tests. It's 2 days from now. So I want to make sure that they all. So my father didn't complain, even if they're, like a sardines in our place. And so I made it fun. You know, because the way math is taught is you have to memorize one plus one. No, no, no. I want to make it fun and things that you'd use all the time. And that's how they learned. Because I don't know, teachers, I don't know, the old fashioned way of memorizing. I hate to memorize. I'm so sorry. But I would remember because one of the gifts that I have is a photographic memory. Yes, I knew I had that gift, but I didn't know what it was called at that time. If you give me one flash and I know, or the cards or something, I was so good at it, even flashcards and everything. My mother would look at me, how the heck did you know that? You showed it to me once. So that's what it is. I have good memory, and I didn't realize at a young age I have photographic memory.
So you were both a mathematician and also a bit of a teacher, huh?
Well, that's why when I learned about interpersonal, when I was going to college, I had a choice of doing a math, BS math, or BSE math. I chose the education with math and physics because that's natural. I
Right.
wanted education because I wanted the interaction because I believe that education is the root of everything. If you have a good education, I don't care what it is, you
Mhm.
will help the next generation and yourself too, and vice versa, right? So I ended up with the education with a major in math and minor in physics
I see.
because it's natural.
Right.
It's not because I wanted it to be,
Yeah.
it's just natural. Yeah.
Then, do you mind sharing a little bit more about your college experience, maybe about the classes you took
Oh,
or
yeah. Yeah.
events or activities you did?
Actually, you will say expect the unexpected. I was like that. So you would expect that I'm a math and physics major. I will go to the math club, right? Wrong. You know what? All my friends were humanities, art people. I would hang around with artists and everything because I want to learn what it is that makes them think. You know, they could do poetry, they could do anything. I said, boy, that's amazing. I can't do that. I could appreciate art, but I cannot paint. But I could listen to good music and everything else. I have a good ear for that, but I really can't do, the meticulous thing of all Rembrandt painting or something. So I learned so much from them. Ended up to be because I have a soft heart. Guess what happened? When I was in college, first year in college, the UP College in Manila at that time, because you have to have you have to pass the UPCAT, which is actually like going to Harvard here. Okay. You have to have a test that you have to pass. That the first 1,000 students all over the country will be is a cutoff. So if you fail that, then you're not part of it. So you go to the other schools. I have no knowledge. So I prayed and prayed. I said, God help me. I want to go to this school.
Hello? No, no, my Zoom is unlimited because
That's weird because that's what happens. Okay, that's okay. So where were we on the what you're recording?
you were telling me about college that you were friends with a lot of art majors, you hung out with the art majors.
Yeah.
And then you had a soft heart. That is the last thing I do remember you sharing.
Okay. So what happened is, so when I was with okay, I also have a lot of friends in college, okay? Because I like the interaction, and the fellowship, because you learn from that, not just from school, the teachers, but you learn what their experiences are. So we were hanging around in the canteen, okay? Cafeteria, whatever, foods, whatever that is. So we're checking each other. So everybody has a different major, but that's okay because the first 2 years you're all classmates, right? So one of my girlfriends, she was the kind of person that wanted to be an actress, really desperately wanted to be an actress. And she came and she looked like, okay, why you're late? Late for our get together. She said, well, because I really want to audition for this play. I said, okay. And I'm nervous as heck. I need support. No. So I looked around because we're all friends. We're probably a dozen of us. Okay, we'll support you. We'll go. Where is that? At the theater. Okay, we'll go to the theater after we finish our, food to support her because at about 30 minutes we're gonna go there. So we did.
Hello?
They were doing, you know.
Let's continue. You were talking a little bit about your art friends, about your college experience overall, so maybe you can continue a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a dozen of us is gonna go inside the theater, and the theater, two, the two people in the audition are my math teachers. I was so shocked because what are you doing? The thinking of your math teachers are in the auditions. You're gonna decide. Well, little did I know, my one of my math teachers who became one of the finest artists in the Philippines. He
Wow.
just passed away. And the other one is also my math teacher. And I reconnected with her recently. And they're going to have, I said, what are you doing with your 50th anniversary? But anyhow, so bottom line is my math teacher came to me and said, because he knows me, I said, he said to me, "Are you auditioning?" I said, "No, it's my friend. I'm just helping moral support for her because she's nervous as heck." So who's your friend? So anyhow, he looked at her. She's the type that you look at the thing. There's no inkling that she could be a good actress. Okay, but she doesn't know that. But you cannot tell her that. Okay, because yeah, peer pressure. So I said, okay. So my teacher said, why don't do us a favor? I said, what? Why don't you tell all your friends to just audition, all of you, so that it looks like it's not empty, right? Okay, so 12 of us. Okay. And the role that we're gonna audition for is a raped woman. A raped woman. You're gonna read how a raped woman is gonna do say this passage into the audition. I said, "Oh my God, what on earth did I say yes to?" Okay, well, everybody falls in line, goes to the stage, and does this. Here I come, and I said, "God help me! I'm gonna do this." Helping a friend, I end up to be doing this. I'm doing it for her. So, okay, how does a rape woman feel? Because I don't know how it feels, right? And I said, but God, you know everything. So why don't you just, you know, give me the things that I have to do? Well, so I did. So I forgot about it, had the moral support. I said, yeah, went our merry way. A week later, I went to the college. My friend was grabbing me and said, look, your name is in the bulletin board. I said, what do you mean? You're one of the actresses that are approved. You won the audition. My name wasn't there, but I'm so happy you're there. I said, oh, wait a second. So she grabbed me and took me to the place where my name is on it. And I said, oh my God. Oh my God, why is my name there? My father's gonna kill me. I don't know what to do. I could turn it down. That's what I said. Oh no, that's a very important part. You cannot turn it down. I wish I was the person. I said, but my father, I don't know what to do. So I I decided, okay, well, she convinced me. You know what she said? All the proceeds of this play, we are volunteer, no pay, okay? But we have to work to become an actor and actresses, okay? We're not professional people. Guess what? We have to do it for 3 or 4 months to prepare for this thing. The proceeds, it's only 2 nights of show, okay? Will all go to support the bank before they go bankrupt, the Philippine Educational Theater Association. Can you imagine? We are like the last stronghold, or else they're gonna belly up. I said, that really put me into, yes, I will do it to help them. So the, fast forward, the 2 days happened, and my role was to prostitute. I was a prostitute. Do I look like a prostitute? I said, but I had to play the part. So I took my brother, listen to this. I took my younger brother and said, let's go to the red light district, and I have to observe everybody who are prostitutes because I don't know how to act that. Okay. I know the lines, I could render the lines, but I don't know how you would dress yourself or do something. So I just watch. I told my brother, give me a day or two, just hang out with me, but protect me because, we're not supposed to be there. But anyhow, so now the director, my math teacher, the two math teachers, the head, the lead lady is my math teacher, and the director is my math teacher. So bottom line is, the day before the actual rehearsal, I have no clothes at the dress rehearsal. What am I gonna wear? I have nothing. We don't have money and everything. Am I gonna have the clothes? Well, so happened that my neighbor was a prostitute. We live in, but she comes out every night, but she doesn't tell a lot of people. She goes out every night, but she sleeps all day and everything's closed in her house. So I basically said, okay, I have to watch her because that's the only way I could figure it out, right? Because I cannot ask her directly. Then a friend who's playing like a prostitute had a really good dress that is perfect for a prostitute. So I said, can I borrow your dress? And that's exactly what happened. It was colored orange and black and everything, and see through at the bottom and everything. It's perfect. And my hair was so long, it's up to my, now it's short. It's up to my, what do you call it at the back? The it drops down. So my hair was real long, and I was fatter at that time. Okay. So with that said, the dress rehearsal, I showed up with makeup on and everything, like I was a prostitute. And my professor was shocked that I walked in because I was the opening salvo of that play, and I had to do the part, right? And he was like, "Yay!" So fast forward, the play turned out to be that was really good because the college people bought the tickets, so all the proceeds go to this to save the play. So that's the goal, right? Well, at the backstage, the head of PETA at that time, if you're a Filipino, you know the name, is Lino Broca. Lino Broca is the name. Everybody wants to see Lino and talk to him to become an actor, actress, because if you're under his tutelage, you'll be the prodigy. Well, he came backstage and he said to me, he offered me the job to become an actress on his thing. And you know what I said? Oh no, I'm only doing this because I want to help you out of bankruptcy. I have a long ways to go. I have my math major and my education is more important. Bye. Thank you for the experience. That's exactly what I did. And this is what I said to Lino, and Lino looked at me and said, and the person that played the key guy, Bino is his name, heard this and said, you walked away and you were offered. I said, I don't want it. You want it? Fine. But he doesn't want me. So what am I going to do? Well, try again. That's what happened. So fast forward, then I researched again, and I just recently this year, a few months ago, I was able to connect to the people who was my math teacher, and we were chatting, and she's in the Philippines, and my other math teacher passed away like 3-4 years ago, and you have to say a prayer for him. And the writer of that story is in New York, and he was the one that I connected through Facebook. And I said, Noni, I don't know if you remember me, but I played Lala on this play that you wrote. And he responded 3 days later. I said, yeah, I remember. I remember you. So it was really good to connect.
I
Okay,
see.
that's what it is.
Wow.
That's the highlight of my college
That's
life.
that's an adorable story. I'm really happy you shared that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, but other than that, everything is routine.
Mhm.
I'm excelling in this and this and that. And so the next question will be coming to America, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's just move on. I'm curious. It seems like
Okay.
you're a very
Okay.
interdisciplinary student.
So
But
I go, so so then I had an opportunity. So, when you're in college, you don't really know what you want to do until you really don't, even after college, until you really find yourself. So at a young age, I had this, well, I visited my sister who worked for the office of the president. She was one of the first woman engineers. She's now in New York, okay? And I visited her working for the office of the president. And my other sister works as docking, doing all the docking. And then my steps, no, my sister works as an auditor at the office of the president at that time. So I had an excuse to go and have lunch with them. Okay. I did. And so when we were having lunch, after that, I saw on the bulletin board the need for a mathematician. Okay. So I was only 17, 18 at that time. I saw this and I said, what the heck? Their test is so and so. So I didn't tell anybody. And they need a mathematician, an engineer, and a lawyer. Okay. So I said, okay, I'm going to apply as a mathematician, even if I'm not finished school yet. I took the tests.
this was in
And I
college?
took, yeah, I was in college. I
Wow.
will not finish college, right? I was 17, 18 years old. I took the test and I got this notice saying, you passed the test. Why don't you report at the office of the president on so and so date? And I haven't told anybody that I took the test. Okay. And I got the interview and everything else. I said, you're hired. Tomorrow, can you start? I said, oh, wait a second. I'm going to UP and I cannot take a leave of absence, etc., because I'm going to college.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I
It
can
cut
hear.
out for a little bit, but you told me
Yeah,
that you were like, I can't start tomorrow.
yeah,
Okay, proceed.
yeah. So the leave of absence is important. So I took a leave of absence that so I could work for the office of president. What's the opportunity, right?
This is
College
in
versus.
the president of the Philippines?
Yes,
I
at
see.
that time it was Ferdinand Marcos. He
Okay.
was there for a long time. Okay. So I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to defer my college and work for the office of president. That would really be good because, so I did. I worked for the Central Tender Board, which is duly created board by the president. And we have a special task of looking at all the construction all over the country that are bidding. Okay. And he needs a mathematician, an engineer, and a lawyer to look at the documents that they submit because some of them are like nepotism. Okay. He wanted to be straight up that they're qualified, that they could do the bridge, real the integrity of the bridge, okay, or the construction. So that's the job that I had to do. Wow, this is pretty cool. And at that time, there's no computers. I had to do everything manually. Okay. So I had spreadsheets galore and I would do the computation accordingly and look at all the bids that are coming in. Okay. That was my job. And on top of it, the office of the president wanted me to get all the other information on the different departments. So I went to the Bureau of Domestic Trade to get the CPI. So I had to advise the president on what the CPI looks like. Here, Federal Reserve Board, and you get the CPI, you know what it is. I had to do it manually. So here I am traipsing around a young person with the office of president car and a driver and going to these places. So at a young age, I was able to meet all the key people that are in the government, okay, and get all the information. So when I walk in, they look at me and said, "You're Diana Libunao?" Yes. It's like I'm a young person. Okay, you're gonna have this office and this is the information you need. So I will spend days to just get information. Then I will calculate CPI manually and do it with my spreadsheet. Bring it to the office of the president, a makeshift office. It's because we can't, it's all security related. So you have to make sure that everything is secure at that time, So not much computer at that time. So all the information are confidential. So I learned confidentiality. But the good part about it is I have my own place and I could calculate and I could work as much as I want. I don't have to clock in and out. If I finish the job in 3 days, I'm okay. I've done the thing. I don't have to report Thursday or Friday if I finish it. So, anyhow, the good part is the office I'm in, two, uh, 2 floors up, is the library of the president. I spent time in the library like I was in university. I grabbed everything I could get and read. I got the Wall Street Journal, which is really something. I read the Wall Street Journal. I had it every day. I had access to a lot of information that most people don't. So that was so important to me.
Mm.
So that really beefed up and helped me in my career today. Because of that, I didn't realize that training was part of it.
Mhm.
So that then, because of my experience, I had a 1 year contract with that. And I said, that's it. I had to go back to college.
Oh.
So I went back to college and I said, I had to finish my math and I'm missing so and so. So it's so hard to go back because you're in the workforce, right?
Mm.
So I have to study and everything else. And there's this one math that I deferred and deferred because you just have to memorize and it's all theory. And I said, what the heck? I don't know anything
Mhm.
about this thing. But anyhow, then at that point that I was going to take my 3 units of math to graduate, I had an offer to come to America.
Wow.
I had an offer because during all those times I was tutoring math with the wealthy kids.
Mhm.
I was making more money tutoring than at the office of the president
Mhm.
because I'm paid by the hour by wealthy people and they
Mhm.
will pick me up in a fancy car with their drivers from my work. Okay. So that's the life I had. And so I said to myself, oh my goodness, I have to help these kids because it's a no-no to let the wealthy people, if their kids, if they find out, if other people find out that their kids are not good at math, they will fail. And they're in the exclusive school so expensive that they cannot afford them to fail. So they hired me. So I had students, math students, all over, very wealthy people. And confidentiality is so important. And one student of mine was a great swimmer, one of the best swimmer in school, an exclusive school for men, for boys. And the mother said, I don't know what to do with him. He just wants to swim all day long. I said, you can't do that. You can't survive by just swimming all day long. So you have to pay your bills. You have to do this. You have to be practical. So bottom line is, this kid happened to be the favorite son, the eldest son of a financier. His father was a financier
Mhm.
and went to the same school as I did.
Mhm.
And through his wife found out that I went to that school too. I was going to that school. And so the son said, I am not going to America without her. That's exactly what happened. Because their housemaid cannot make it. Was interview was turned down. So they need a housemaid. to come to America.
Mhm.
Now, you got to remember, I have this and is that the offer was to be a housemaid to come to America.
Mhm.
What am I gonna do? I said, boy, I wanted to come to America because of freedom of everything I read about and saw. I want to come to America. If I was thinking, if I gonna save everything that I made, it's not enough for me to get a ticket to America.
Mhm.
Okay, it will take me 2, 3 years at least without eating or anything else.
Right.
But this offer came to me. And I said, what am I going to do? Pray.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So either I have a degree or go to America.
Mhm.
The choice was clear to me, go to America.
Mhm.
So
So you never finished your degree?
no, I didn't. I'm missing 3 units of math, the 131, elementary theory. I can't believe that. I said, oh my God, it's in
So
my head.
so you went to New York with this boy. Is he older? Was he older than you?
Yeah,
Young?
no, no, he's younger than me because he was my student.
So he was younger than you. You went as his tutor to America, and did you live with your
Exactly.
family in
But
New
I'm
York?
also a household help for them because they're very rich. And in America, you have to do everything. You don't have
Wow.
a maid or anything else, right? So we
Right.
went to a fancy place in New York City,
Mhm.
right on Midtown Manhattan.
Wow.
2 bedroom apartment, very plush.
Mhm.
They're very wealthy, and et cetera, et cetera. And I had to play the part. I
Mhm.
said, well, I could do this. I could wash clothes. I know everything to
Mhm.
do the because I came from the things that I have to do myself, right?
Mhm.
You have to do this and that. And they brought in their driver. They
Wow.
were able to bring the driver. They have a Mercedes Benz in New York and
Mhm.
everything else. So at that time, it was really something. So my job was to help the kids
Mhm.
and help the household to learn how to clean the commode, how to cook. They don't know anything, all right? And I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because the kids had to go to school. So I had to prepare breakfast for everybody, and then plan my day, bring them to school. But going to school, they were fetched by a limousine.
Mhm. Wow.
So when they're fetched by a limousine, I will be dropped off to make sure that they're school okay. And then I would walk from 63rd Street to 54th Street on a good weather. And
Wow.
I would do that. I lived in Manhattan. I love Manhattan because I could walk and I could see a lot of things.
Mhm.
And then my day starts at home and I have to do the laundry, cook for lunch, and whatever it is. But the
Mhm.
kids already have their things. But the parents, I have to take care of. Then I have to wash it. So my day was like 4 in the morning and midnight is when I sleep. So it's 4 hours sleep at
Wow.
that time. That's for 1 year, but I experienced a lot of the wealthy stuff that they have. So
Mhm.
my job too, because there's no Waze, no Google at that time. My job was to find the trendiest restaurant in New York
Mhm.
because the father wants us to try the new restaurant every Saturday for the family time.
Just curious, was this a Filipino family or a
Yes, a Filipino
wow.
family. And he worked, listen to this, he was the financier of the soon to be president of the Philippines,
Ah.
Ninoy Aquino, that was killed.
Wow.
Yeah, so the history is there. So I worked for the opposition, the president, and then the future president who was assassinated. And I even talked to him once because he called and said, I said to him, I'm curious. It's not my business, but I'm just curious. You know you're going to be killed when you get home. Why are you going to get home? Go to the Philippines? Because I owe it to my country. I have to be there. This is what he said. Okay, no questions asked. Then I asked, I gave the phone to. That's the conversation I had with him. And I understood right away.
Wow.
So, so that's my experience. It was a very good experience, but it's also a tough one because it's a lot of hard work to
Right.
do. You don't use your brain. Well, you use your brain, but not as much as you do the physical work.
So, what was like this is your first time in the United States, and out of all
Oh my
places, you
God.
were in Manhattan, right?
Oh,
So
I was in Manhattan, the
what
best place to be.
what was it like? Was there any cultural
Oh,
shock? Did you face
it was fun.
language barriers?
I had no time to be distraught. It was so much fun because why? Because I have an off day after Saturday. That
Wow.
I have Sunday off. I said, yes, I could walk around, I could do whatever I want. Okay. Sunday. And that's how spend my day off. And they have to learn how to do things on my
Mhm.
Sunday off, which I'm proud that they are doing that. Okay.
Wow.
So, with that said, I spent a lot of time walking downtown Manhattan, experienced all and what I love about it is hearing when you're in Fifth Avenue walking
Mhm.
there, you could hear everybody speak in different languages. To
Wow.
me, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
They're coming from different places all
Yeah.
over the world. And I said, wow, this is really something to me that's very important. And then another important thing that I saw was, you know, how Manhattan will have small stores and every corner they have a flower shop and things like that, you know, boutique and everything.
Mhm.
There's this couple, well, they're not really a couple yet. So this guy wanted this woman, okay, and bought some flowers for her. So I know he's gonna meet the girl.
Mhm.
So I was watching. I was like, I'm curious. So finally, the girl came, and guess what? In the middle of the street on First Avenue and 53rd Street, he grabbed her. As soon as the woman saw the flowers, grabbed her and gave her a long kiss and a hug in the middle
Wow.
of nowhere. Okay, in the middle of the street, when all the people are honking and everything, he did that. And I said, "Oh my God! Only America can you see this. In Asia, you're it's a no-no. To me, that's really something, okay? An experience." And I said, boy, that's an education for me I will never forget.
Yeah.
Because in America, you could express yourself. It's very individual, unlike the group thing in Asia. So those are the experiences, and I would always calculate everything from peso to dollars. I said, oh my God, how are you going to survive with this kind of well, I learned not to calculate anymore because you're going to be poor if you calculate everything. I said, oh my God, it's so expensive, so I don't want to do that anymore. So I
Mhm.
learned. That's when I learned. I don't. And before, I would translate everything first in my head, and it takes longer. So I decided, no, I'm not going to translate. I'm going to say it as it is. So I learned the language faster that way.
Mhm.
So,
Uh, then I guess kind of I don't mean to rush you or anything, but
no,
just
no.
in interest of time, what happened after your year in New York? Did you stay in the United States? Did you go
Yeah,
to
I stayed in the United States. I'm ready to go back to the Philippines because I saved up a lot of money, just like a nation would.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start a bakery business in the Philippines because right. So, bottom line is, I have money saved, but then what stopped me is my future husband.
Oh.
I was introduced to my future husband. That's why I became a Rutenberg. But prior to that, in the Philippines, I got married once to a Filipino who
Mhm.
is an artist, one of the famous artists. But it didn't work out. And I told him, you know what? If I go to America, that's a sign that our marriage is ended. But I'm going to give you 5 years at least. I did. I gave him enough time. But if nothing changed, then I'm I'm going. I don't need it. That's how it happened. Then I met my husband. Then I was like a princess. He didn't want me to work because I worked so hard. And then afterwards, yeah, because of him, he was like my teacher and mentor. And he said he's a business person, so he said, well, I'm going to teach you the ways of America. Okay, but he's from Sweden. So
Mhm.
for 21 years I had a good marriage. I really am so lucky because he was my mentor. And that's when he didn't want to have children because he was much older. He was 38 years older than I am.
Oh.
And I always say to him, you're a cradle snatcher. I said, well, haven't met anybody like you. That's just what I said. I'm the fifth wife, fifth.
Um,
All the four. I said, I have to give you A for trying so hard to find me. This is what I said to him. And we would just laugh. So every day, there's no time that we didn't laugh about something. It's really the essence of our marriage that we would laugh at little things that it's so important. Even he said, even if I'm mad, I forgot why I'm mad at you because I look at your face. Look like I cannot be mad at you. This is what he said. So that's how we were married for 21 years until he passed away. I was there at hospice with him. I was there at the hospital and everything. But during that time, I was the president of the Asian Chamber because he didn't want any kids because he was much older. He said, I don't want you to be saddled with a child. We don't know when I'm going to pass away. So that's what happened.
um, I guess, wow, we just did a big time skip. First, I'm
Yeah,
sorry about your husband.
that's okay. He's been gone since 2005. So
Oh,
so he always said, "Why did you marry me when you're so darn independent?" Well, because I like you. If I don't like you, I won't pay attention. I wouldn't marry you. Okay, I would rather be by myself, and that's what happened.
um, then I guess kind of going back, so you finished your year in New York, you went back to the Philippines.
No, I didn't. My husband stopped me.
So
I
you
got
met
I
you
stopped.
married.
Yeah, I met my husband. Yeah.
Oh, so when did you marry your first husband in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, that was when I was 19.
Oh, when you were in college.
Yes.
I see. And then
In between, yeah.
did you
Wait,
divorce before you left for the United States then?
yeah. Well, no, I handed him a divorce from here. I sent it
Oh,
to him. Yeah.
I see. So then you never went back to the Philippines. You stayed in the United States. You met your husband. He was also in New York.
No, he was in Houston, Texas.
So how did you end up in Houston, Texas?
Because I was on the way to the Philippines, save up enough money. So after my contract with New York, 1 year, I went to California with my cousins and said, I'm only here temporarily because I'm planning to go to the Philippines, start my business. And so that's what happened.
Oh,
So he stopped me and said, well, you know what? Why don't we try? Because in America, you don't have to get married to be together. I said, oh, that's a no, no. My brother's gonna be upset with me if that happens. Okay, but anyhow, so I served my ex-husband the divorce papers before I met him.
wow. So
So that
you met each other in California out of all places then.
yes, in California,
Which part?
Walnut, California,
Ah, I see.
right after Christmas.
And your husband lived in
Lived in Houston.
Houston at the time. He was just in for business or something.
Yeah, well, he was looking for an Asian bride,
Oh,
trying so hard. So he was in San Francisco when he decided, oh, looks like I got my delivery
oh,
because that time is already there. Is it okay? Can you pause a little bit?
yeah. I can pause for a second.
Yeah, because the delivery is right here and
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I know it's already.
Yeah. It's okay. We're reaching a good point. I guess then kind of clarifying your immigration experience. You ended up in Houston after meeting your husband in California. I know you said your husband is from Sweden, but did he have immigration? Like, did he have a visa or a citizenship of any sort?
Yeah, my husband actually, as a young boy,
Hmm.
that's another story that I could write. He actually came from a family in Sweden who his father is an architect,
Hmm.
and he was the only private student of Miss Van der Rohe. Miss Van der Rohe is the one that built Chicago skyline.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so
Um,
so there's history, totally different thing, and I know the story about that. So I met the side of the family. So he got his citizenship by the fact that his father came in here. So because of being an architect, he was sponsored to come as an artist and had a visa. And then because of the children are minor, He came in at age 13 and became a US citizen at that point, automatically.
I see. Wow, you keep
So
running
that's,
into these famous people somehow, huh? You have these indirect
I
connections.
have no idea. Only God knows why.
I see.
So that's another history altogether, another topic for
Okay.
future things.
So you moved to Houston. You've been in Houston ever since then?
Yes,
Wow.
I really love Houston.
Nice.
As much as I like New York for the vibrancy and everything,
Mhm.
there's something about Houston that is so different. You know, it's like you look at it like a backboard type thing before, especially during that time. But I also believe that there are people that are just quietly doing things, community and everything, because they know it won't be the fourth largest city or sometimes the third largest city if it doesn't offer so much. And
Right.
there's so much skilled labor here, and the fact that they're very favorable towards growth. Houston is very growth oriented, and they're welcoming people of all different races, which is wonderful, just like New York. The only difference is we have officials that care about what is important to the people, whether they're in government or not. If government cannot respond to everything, but it's the private individuals that can afford or are wealthy or with the oil and gas that are able to contribute to the community. And of course, the Asian community has contributed a lot to the growth of this city, because they deliver a good education. Number one, they're scared that if it's like St. Laura's school or they know if it's Asia, oh my God, the stereotype, which is sometimes true,
Mhm.
and not all Asians are the same, but still we value education very much, and that is what we offer in the thing, and also in the medical center, we have a lot of Asians.
We do.
So the advancement, and a lot of engineers are Asians. So we bring into the table so much in the city. That's why it's thriving like what it is right now, because we don't believe in communism because that's why we got out of it, right?
Right.
uh, so we want it to be a better place, and that's why I love Houston, for the fact of the diversity, the
Mhm.
languages. It's so similar to New York, but it's not compact. It's spread out,
I
and
see.
that's what I love about Houston. And one thing about Houston that I really like is not like in LA. We don't shoot each other. Even if we have open carry, they're more scared about the women having open carry in their cars or in their trucks or SUVs, because the soccer moms they call,
Mhm.
because they respect the fact that we are open carry. So you should, I'm going to shoot you first.
Right.
In other states, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, there's so many things politically, but we really, what I really, really like about Houston is the growth, the thinking of, do you know the motto of the city? You
Uh,
probably do. What?
maybe.
Tell me.
I'm not from Houston, so I
Okay,
couldn't.
I'll tell you what the
Okay.
motto, you will become a Houstonian if you know the motto. You
Okay.
know what it is? When I heard it, I said, that's me. There is nothing impossible. It only takes longer. That's the motto of the city.
Mm, very growth oriented.
Yes, and that is why we have the Astrodome, the seventh wonder of the world, because they wanted to put air conditioning on all of Houston, but it's so big. So they experimented with the Astrodome, and that's why it's the first air conditioned place. Now
Mm.
it's like a monster.
Yeah, it is. I see. I guess then one component of this interview that we missed a little bit was a little bit of your career
Oh yeah,
opportunities. I
just by
know.
the side. It's only by the side. The career is because it's natural to me.
Mhm,
You know what the progression is. My career, I love what I do. That's why I'm still working,
mhm,
because there's no, in my career, there's no forced retirement.
mhm. That's good.
So you could be 90 and still good mind and everything. Take care. I'm serious. There are people like that in our business.
Mm,
As long as they could take care of the client's money and the trust is there, because in this business, you have got to have confidentiality and trust and relationship building, number one.
mhm.
Without that, you cannot survive in our business. Plus
Yeah.
all the regulatory environment,
Mhm.
oh, the legal, oh my God, it drives you crazy.
This is with Oppenheimer, correct?
Yes, but
Uh, how
but
long how
you're
long have you
right.
worked for them?
Okay, I worked for them since 2009.
Mhm,
Okay, but I started with E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. That's the ad. So your grandparent, whoever knows E.F. Hutton, they will remember the ad. The marketing ploy. So
mhm.
if E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens.
When did you begin there?
Oh, 1980, when I came to 1987, right before the market crash of October.
So you were you working in between the time that you gave up your job in New York until you met your husband, or you weren't working then?
No, I wasn't working until it was my husband's idea, because
Uh,
he looked at me and said, "You are so smart. Why don't I introduce you to my broker at
uh-huh.
EF Hutton? He
Uh,
used to be an ex-NASA engineer."
I see. Wow.
Yes. So I said, "Okay, you're gonna introduce me to your broker."
Mhm,
Ah, so we're gonna have a breakfast. He agreed to breakfast because he was substantial money at that
mhm,
time. And so when we were having breakfast, I was just gonna open a $2,000 IRA.
mhm.
$2,000 my husband's gonna give me to manage on my own IRA at
I
that time, 2000. So I said, boy, I'm nervous as heck, but at least I could buy stocks that you've never heard of.
mhm,
Philippine stocks, San Miguel Corporation. I know those companies because I grew up there. So I know the inside out and I know this is a good company, but that's not heard of. At that time, international investing was not the craze. Now, every portfolio has an international component. At
right.
that time, none.
Wow.
So I grew up with the industry. At that time in my career,
Mhm.
I have to hand write all the tickets. And
Wow.
we have a tube, we call it tube. Then
Mhm,
you put your order in the tube and it's a whole floor. You put the order in the tube and it goes to the wire operator.
mhm.
But you have to press the button. It's like the banks have the thing, in a
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
That's it. But we have it all over. It's called the
Wow.
tube. And I saw the market crash of October 87. You wouldn't believe how many laps I had to walk to get into the wire operator because it was crazy of October 1987 crash.
Wow.
But I did it. It was a good experience.
Mhm.
The market was down, down, down. And the next day we were selling, and then the next day we were buying.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's not instantaneous. You have to wait 15 minutes before you get to see if your order is filled.
Mhm,
It was fun. It was very different. So I have to go with what the technology is right now. So
mhm.
I'm learning. Remember, I told you,
Yeah.
did I do this? So I'm learning accordingly because of
Mhm.
the new rules.
Right. Well, you
But
seem to be
I love my
experienced
job.
in your field. Um, then I guess you've you worked at Hutton and then now you're at Oppenheimer and you continue to enjoy working even now.
Oh yeah, I do. I actually working from home,
Oh,
which is good.
that's great. Yeah.
And I'm not required to be there, clocking in because I am more productive doing work here, and I could get clients and everything. They don't want to go downtown. They want to see me. They come to my office to my home to do the review because I'm by myself. So there's uh, confidentiality.
Right.
And
I
nobody hears anything except the person and myself.
I guess kind of steering the conversation away from work then, do you have any hobbies or recreational interests?
Oh yeah, I do. Expect the unexpected, right?
For sure.
So my favorite hobby is to fly all over the place.
Mhm,
Once I have the opportunity, I would fly.
mhm.
I love to fly because being on an airplane or to fly is like being one in the clouds, and then you could see clearly. I always wonder, why are people just like what's happening to Gaza right now? Why are they fighting over this piece of land? It's ridiculous. It's an age-old division. you know in the end, you're gonna take not gonna take that anyway from you.
Right.
So your head is clear when you're high up,
Mhm.
and you could see it's a different perspective.
I see. What else?
Well, a lot of things. Of course, my spiritual values are there. So I spent a lot of time, because of what drives me is my relationship with God. I believe that our body, people, of course, will cry when somebody dies, right? But the fact is, our body is like a vehicle. You could drive a Honda, a Toyota, a Porsche, a Mercedes, whatever you want. You could dress it up, dress it down, but that's your body. The
Mhm.
driver is not your body, correct?
Correct.
And you have to maintain that vehicle.
Mhm.
And you know what you put into your body. So I believe that the spirit or the driver of that car or vehicle is really who we are.
Yeah.
And the flame in your heart, it's in your heart. Nobody could take it away from you except yourself
Mhm.
and God, whatever you call it. So once you understand that, I always believe that to be mobile is to be able to see other people, to see different cultures, see different things, see different perspective, and that's how you learn. You learn from experience, not just books. It's good to have books because people will write things and everything. They will document. But other than that, there's nothing like a face-to-face encounter because you will feel the chemistry, you will feel the energy. Energy can never be created nor destroyed. We're all energy,
I
we're
see.
all flames in our
Mhm.
heart. So no matter what your vehicle is driving, you look at me like, oh, that's Diana. Yeah, you could identify me as Diana, but the true Diana is in my heart. Like the true Sam is in your heart. We
Mhm.
don't know what out there that we don't see, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's deep, and I appreciate you sharing that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I guess then these are some mandatory questions, we always ask all of our interviewees. These kinda shift the perspective more to you and your identity. So I guess it's a bit of a segue from what we were just talking about. Um,
That's okay.
Firstly, how do you identify yourself, ethnically?
Oh, well, of course, I look like an Asian, so I'm Asian.
Do you identify Filipino? Do you feel like you're Filipino American, more American?
No, I identify myself as I look Asian, I look Filipino, but I'm actually a world person, a citizen of this world. I
I've
just look like it. It's a vehicle, right?
Right, right. I've actually heard of, this from other people I've interviewed. I think one person told me on his census he put place of birth as Earth and, like, race as human, and I thought that was really insightful.
Exactly.
I guess then, what do you feel most proud of?
Oh, I'm most proud of the fact that this life of mine, one way or the other, have contributed to the betterment of society.
Okay, perfect. And then when and where do you feel most at home?
Oh, I'm most at home when I feel joy
It's
wherever I am.
wherever you are.
I'm most at home
I
when
see.
I feel the joy in the heart of the people and myself. Because when I see them smiling and laughing, I said, "Oh my God, that is really I'm at home when I see that."
Let me see. So, I guess this is just a personal curiosity question.
Hmm.
Now that, you say you live at home alone, but you still working, but you work from home, how do you spend most of your time then? Do you interact a lot with your community? Do you have, like, a church you attend? Do you travel and see family or friends often?
I do. I answer yes to all of them. Sometimes people say, "Where are you now? What are you doing now?" Because I don't tell a lot of people where I am, because a lot of times I do things uh, out of love for what I do, for the
Mhm,
people that, because there's a reason why I'm there. It's not because of my reason. It's
mhm,
because God put me there for a reason. And that is really what motivates me. I would travel halfway around the world because I feel compelled that I have to be there and I have to meet certain people. I don't know who they are, but I have to be there.
mhm,
So, and if that is the case, the money comes. I always say, "You want me to be there? Show me the money," right? Be practical,
mhm.
be pragmatic, okay?
Right.
So that's how it is.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at my list and I think we covered the bulk of the questions that I wanted to ask you. And I guess the last thing is there anything else that you would like to add or talk about that you feel like we have not covered yet?
Actually, I want to know more about you.
I'm happy to talk about myself, but I'll end the recording if that's all right then.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.